For hemodynamics also there is no data to prove, but we have to follow hemodynamics because that is the only thing we can do. But there are certain facts we have to understand that shock is a major problem, and over a period of years it is increasing day by day. The incidence is also increasing, and mortality we could not able to reduce it too much. So that's a major problem and major challenge with us. So major problem definitely is muscle loss, and if we can control that, that's the best thing which we can do. But if the muscle loss is not controlled, the problem is that just providing support is not sufficient. So this was again proven that if you provide MCS to any patient with AMI shock, if you have no exit strategy like in terms of transplant program or in terms of long-term LVAD program, just providing MCS is not sufficient. So that's the main reason that what we are doing is mainly for protected PCI. We are using all these, but not for AMI shock because we don't have that much robust programs available for exit strategy. That's the major problem. And again, the complications are a major challenge. The hemodynamic vascular complications, because we are not prepared for that. Our punctures are not done guided when we are doing femoral punctures. So there are many things which are lacking. That's the problem is. But definitely need is there to do an early identification. And we all know the shock criteria now. Everyone should follow these basic shock criteria that we should identify shock very early in triage only and not delay it, because previously looking at lactate was like thing for anesthetist only. Cardiologists are way of not looking at any other things other than the blood pressure and the ECG. So now looking at other things is very important, and that's why it's very important that we have to have hemodynamic diagnosis of shock, and then only we should decide that what is to be done for the best. And again, understanding pathophysiology is very important, that in AMI it does not a heart attack. Ultimately, if there is significant muscle loss, it will cause an organ dysfunction, and then ultimately first will be the renal shock, and then ultimately hemometabolic shock when liver and organs are involved. And once we are too late, at that point, just controlling the reperfusion is not sufficient. We have to support other organs also. And even if we support other organs and LV is already damaged, we can't keep them supported for very long, because if we don't have exit strategy, nothing will work. So phenotyping again is very important, that we have to act early. Patient should not land up in a very late stage. If landing up in a very late stage with lactate already 12, 14, intervening at that point is really, really difficult to discuss that should we do it or not. Like they say that for MCS support, Impella kind of support, anything lactate or more than 8, there's no point doing anything. So, but we have seen many patients improving with that also. So this is also very important to understand. We have seen many trials that if we do monitoring, if patients are having congestion, the outcome is not good. So we have to assess that at which class they are in, the SCAI shock class also. And again, all these things done in a patient who is having acute MI with shock, we are delaying time for reperfusion. So that also is a major problem. So again, golden hour for reperfusion and for the protection of the LV is also important. So although in Indian scenario, still the major thing is reperfusion, but there are many patients who are coming in a golden period where they are really out of that time where the reperfusion will help them significantly, and they are not that worse that they are already gone cases. These are the patients where we can look for all these things. Otherwise, for a routine patient, it's difficult. Still, in our hospital, we are thinking that we can start an ECMO program for emergency, but it's very difficult because generally, when the doctor there is in an emergency, they call us too late till that time that CPR and shock and 4-5 tops are there. At that time, it's not possible. So definitely, early diagnosis is very important, and for that, early hemodynamic management is very important. And phenotypic timing is also equally important. So we all know reperfusion, we have to do it very fast, but equally important is hemodynamic support, which is to be given early and to prevent tissue perfusion and to improve survival. Then again, we all know time is muscle, but there is some injury and a patient comes late with large MI, then mechanical complication, then you can't do much. So all these cases, you need some kind of support, and to decide, you have to have a fixed plan, fixed strategy, fixed program, then only they will get benefited, because the benefit is only proven in places where they have a structured program for all these things. Just putting MCS is not sufficient. So we have to diagnose patients like with AMI shock patient, they have multiple phenotypes. Patient can be having very large MI, can be having acute MR, can be having VSR or RV infarction. So there are always two things we have to see, both the sides of the coin, that tissue perfusion is also important, but recovery of cardiac function is also important. And for all these things, we have to assess multiple things at same time and don't delay too much time in deciding all these things. So that's why a proper program is required, that you have to rescue and reassess the patient, optimize the treatment, stabilize and de-escalate. So this is the most important thing, I think, for these patients once they are already in shock. Diagnosing the etiology, hemodynamic targets are to be decided, hemodynamic management is to be decided. So triaging is very important. You have to have a hemodynamic monitoring, whatever is available there. Like echo is the most important thing available in emergency. So by echo, how much hemodynamic you can get is very important. Then definitely mean artery pressure is always there. But deciding for other things is very important, that just all these things are not sufficient, and lactate is good, but sometimes you need more parameters. That's why we need more hemodynamic monitoring. And if you have PA pressures, and if you have other parameters, and you have the latest parameters like the oxygen delivery, like CPO, like PAPI, then definitely managing these patients will be much more easier. Deciding about escalation and de-escalation is also very important. So all these steps are to be assessed before we decide for any therapy for these patients. So this is a very old slide. I think everyone has seen this, but I think this is most important. We have to decide about the strategy, what we have to do. For this, definitely we have to understand the hemodynamics. What is the problem? Major problem is definitely decrease in cardiac output because of circulatory arrest. So mean arterial pressure is going down and lactates are going up. So we have to prevent this. Second important thing is ventricle is loaded because of increased filling pressure. So we have to unload the ventricle. Third important thing is coronary perfusion. We definitely perfusion is there, but if there is end organ damage, whatever we do, nothing will work. And we have seen that except for the lactate, even the mean SpO2 outcomes are better than lactate outcomes. So just following lactate is not sufficient. If you have pulmonary venous oxygen saturation, that will give you a better idea about coronary the tissue perfusion. If you have CPA and PAPI, they can give you a better idea about LV filling pressures, LV output, and decision making. So again, you need some kind of hemodynamic support. So definitely support need is there, but the data is not there to support that this is really beneficial. And there are multiple challenges in this also. Although this can give you multiple ideas about titration of vasoactive drugs, about staging, about tissue perfusion, about phenotyping, about need for MCS, about escalation and de-escalation. But there are multiple variables in this also. How you measure is also very important. If patient is intubated, patient not intubated, patient has some chronic lung disease, so where to measure? You have to measure in expiration or inspiration. So they say always that measure and expiration is always better. But if patient has chronic disease, you have to see the mean. So there are multiple challenges for this also. So understanding the measurement is also equally important. If you put garbage in, definitely garbage will come out. So definitely that's most important that we have to understand. And once you follow these parameters and then strategize your planning according to the tissue perfusion, according to the hemodynamics, according to organ perfusion and filling pressures, then only there will be some benefit of this. Again, the data is very limited. There are very few trials which have shown benefit of outcome measures of measuring hemodynamics. But definitely, we all know that if you put, this is a recent trial which has shown that if you put PA pressures, the most important thing you will know is the low flow states. And if you just give saline to these patients, and many patients improve. So that is very important. Other than this, understanding the hemodynamics is equally important. So we all know the SCAI shock stages, but understanding these shock stages as per hemodynamics is also equally important. From stage A, which is almost normal, to stage B, what is happening is the quantity is going down, and systolic volume is increasing, but still they are maintaining output, so it's not that bad. But once patient is in chronic heart failure, everything goes much delayed. But definitely, as was discussed, that heart failure patients are different from acute MI patient. In acute MI, actually, the time is too less, and patient is having a very varied course and very fastly deteriorating. So again, the quantity has significantly gone down, LVDP has gone up, and diastolic volume has not gone that high. So these are the patients even more challenging. So in these patients, just giving them minor support by IABP, I think that's the main reason it was not shown to be beneficial. So we have to have a very sweet spot where we can find a place where it can be beneficial. We need a significant kind of support for these patients when they went into LVF. So that's why MCS have gone one way ahead, that they can give better supports and they can reverse it to slightly more left so that patient can recover. And that may be the main reason that IBP has not shown. But again, invasive monitoring is very important. So this can decide about the diagnosis of shock, about need for mechanical circulatory support by CPO and PAPI. I think they were few years back, we were not even knowing about these things, but these new parameters are there and now they are used everywhere. Again, we have no data to prove that if we do MCS in all these patients, they will benefit. The study of danger shock was again in a very small group of patients who are having acute MI and shock. There are many other patients who are coming with us and we don't know what to do for them. But definitely, there are many other basic parameters which are to be followed, like mean arterial pressure, like urine output, like saturation, lactates, CVP, capillary refilling time, pulmonary saturations, and PCWP. All these things are very important deciding the patient's outcome and decision making for the treatment. So again, we have already discussed about CPU and PAPI. How we calculate is very easy. Now there are so many apps available. It's easy to calculate. You don't have to remember all these formulas. And they give you immense knowledge that you can decide and what will be the outcome. It's very well seen that if lactate has already gone 4, means the outcomes are much worse. So we have to act at lactate of 2, not at 4. But definitely if the lactate has come in emergency at 4 and you have started inotropes and lactate has started decreasing, it means that still you can get away with it. So that first report of high lactate doesn't mean much because patient has no inotrope, nothing supports. So up to 1 inotrope, if patient's improving hemodynamically, you can still wait. But if it's not improving, then definitely the MCS role comes, because at that stage, opening artery is more important than putting an MCS. So this is also happening in many places in Western countries, that they are putting more Impellas than required, and many studies are coming that that's not useful. So it's also very important to understand that we have to use these devices at right point in time. And again, phenotyping, as we are discussing, is very important, that what stage patient is coming, if it's having LV dominant shock. So generally patients are heart failure or acute MI are LV dominant shocks, because arteries are mainly causing problem in LV. Very rarely with inferior MI, the patient has RV shock. So generally, once patient has RV shock, managing them is really, really difficult. So we had a patient with severe shock, and we had put him on Impella and done angioplasty, but he went into RV shock. So ultimately, we had to escalate to ECMO. But once we escalate to ECMO, patient went into pulmonary edema, then we have to put an IBP. So multiple problems are happening, and patient has limb ischemia and all those things. So putting these devices is easy, but outcomes are not that easy. But definitely understanding is very important. Once you understand, then you can pinpoint which are the patients who really need these kind of devices, and which are the patients who can be managed without these devices. And definitely diagnosing RV heart failure is very important. I will not go into details of all these things. We all know that if filling pressures are high, if CVP is high, if the PAPI is under 1, then we say that support is required. But if PAPI is under 2, it says that RV dysfunction is there. By echo also you can assess that if patient has TAPSE which has gone down and RV dysfunction has set in, then definitely outcomes are not good. So all the devices, we have to understand their hemodynamics also, how they work. I think it was discussed already in all the 3 devices, how they work and what was the benefit of that. And I think it was discussed in previous talk also, that we have to assess these stages of shocks, and definitely we have to understand A, B, C, D, and E, and still, as was discussed previously, IBP has some role in late stage of B, although data is not as robust. Impella has definite role in stage C and stage C or early stage D. ECMO has some role in stage D, although again, once we are coming to this stage, we have to have exit strategy. Just putting an ECMO is not sufficient, because these patients will have significant LV damage, they will not come out, and then what will you do? And if you have no exit strategy, then total outcome will not be that much different, that only 1 or 2 patients may recover to that level that he can survive, otherwise all will succumb. So you have to have a transplant program, you have to have an LVAD program for developing this. You can put all these devices like ECPella or Lava ECMO and all those things, but all those things are required that you have to have LV unloading. So we all know that how these devices work, but ultimately muscle should be there. So delaying reperfusion is not a good idea, but definitely if patient is already in shock, then doing a reperfusion and not thinking of shock is also not a very good idea. Danger shock has shown this clearly, and the benefits were significant, and they have persisted for years now. We have seen that, and which was not shown by ECMO. We all know that why this has happened, because ECMO is actually increasing burden to heart, not decreasing. So I will not go into detail, this all already discussed. But definitely all these therapies can tell us then when to escalate and when to escalate. And we have to understand their hemodynamics also. Once you put Impella, what you are doing is shifting the curve to the left. Once you are putting ECMO, actually you are increasing the burden, but definitely maintaining the cardiac output. So once you went the LV with ECMO, then these are the patients where you are supporting cardiac output also, and you are unloading LV also, and you are unloading venous system also. So all these parameters are important to understand once you decide which therapy is best for your patient. So with this, I want to conclude that definitely acute MI, how you do it is shift to cath lab, do an angiogram, assess femoral vessels at that time, and definitely if patient is in shock, assess the PA pressures and right heart cath, and then decide. So for a normal patient, definitely PCI is the best thing. For a patient with some abnormality, definitely PCI is the best thing, but think of other support also. A patient may require support for future. And for patients who are really in shock, we have to assess who is in hypoxemia, who is in RV failure, who is in LV failure, and what kind of support will be required. And definitely patient in cardiac arrest, only option is VA ECMO. And definitely you have to rule out the mechanical complications of acute MI also with all these things. So definitely this is just again a repetition of similar thing, that how you can go ahead and do it. So if patient is already in shock, if you have a program enough to start ECMO, Impella in emergency or immediately in cath lab within 15 to 30 minutes, because ultimately they say that unload time of 60 minutes is very important, which is really difficult in India. So we have a on-board Impella available, but I don't think it's very easy for everyone to arrange this. So in India, surviving a AMI shock program with all these things is, I think, really right now too early to say. So with this, I just want to conclude that overall mortality definitely is very high. We have to do something. IABP may not be sufficient in many patients, but still there has some role. Understanding hemodynamics is the most important thing in these patients, and routine use of this catheter is not shown to be beneficial in so many trials, but there are some trials say that at least it will be beneficial if patient is already in shock. So early targeting of these hemodynamic parameters is very important. If you understand them well, then you can manage your inotropes very well, you can manage the devices very well, and definitely if you understand better, then all these devices which are available, you can use them better. But definitely team-based approach and a fixed planning and protocol-based treatment is very important. Thank you.